But before we dive further in this video, I want to remind you that this is not a tech channel by any means. Rather, I prefer to... Greetings fellas! I am back at Ishikiri Shrine, this time to test out the Canon R8 battery life. Arigato! Thank you! Arigato! Kawaii! Greetings fellow human beings! I hope you are doing great. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with the Canon R8 battery life as many of you requested it. First of all, I will share a trick that some of you were kind enough to share with me. Then I will tell you my experience using that trick. But before we get any further in this video, I want to remind you that this is not a tech channel by any means. Rather, I share my real-life experience, my real-life use with my gear. Now that this is out of the way, let's go back to my experience with the Canon R8 battery life. October 2023, Aki Matsuri, which means Fall Festival, was held in Ishikiri, Tsurugiya, which is one of my favorite places in Osaka City. It's not really the city though, it's a little bit up north, but anyway. I thought I'm gonna document this event while trying the trick that some of you were kind enough to share with me. So I could test in real life how long the battery actually lasts. So while I will tell you about my experience, I will roll out the film so you can see what I shot with only one battery. Look how beautiful the light was that day, and in this condition the R8 produces the best image possible. Now let me tell you how I usually save my battery before I get into the trick that some of you shared. Now you have to know that my use with the Canon R8 is both for video and photography, not only photography. And usually the video will be 4K, 24 frames per second or 60 frames per second. And the photos will be shot in RAW. I think those settings actually drain the battery quite a lot. So the way I do to save the battery as much as possible for a session of shooting, which will last half a day to a day, is by switching off the camera whenever I change location or whenever I think I will not shoot any videos or photo for a while. The camera is pretty quick to start, so for my use it's not much an issue to turn it off and on whenever I need. And by doing so, I can make it last much longer, and also probably it affects the overheating issues that some others have, meaning that because I switch it off, the camera has time to rest and maybe cool down. So until now, this is the way I deal with the battery life. Now, both on my Instagram account and on this channel, some of you suggested me that I switch on the airplane mode. Doing so, you're supposed to save the battery by telling the camera not to look for networks constantly. So this is what I did for this session. I switched on the airplane mode and I kept the camera on all the time. And the result might surprise you. In this second segment, we see the parade actually starting. Again, from the early morning I arrived at Ishikiri Tsurugiya, I didn't switch off the camera. So I'm not going to show you all the footages and pictures I took because the video will be obviously too long. But at this point, which was the midday, half of the battery was already gone. And I was hoping to capture the arrival of the parade back at Ishikiri Jinja after going around the neighborhood. And this is where, unfortunately, the battery died, just upon arrival of the parade in the shrine. After a little bit over an hour of video recording and about 100 pictures. But mostly I did more video recordings than photos in this session. So you can imagine how frustrated I was that even though with that trick that some of you gave me, the battery didn't last a full session. Probably if I switch on the airplane mode and I keep switching off the camera whenever I don't need it, I could have recorded the whole day without any issues. But this time I really wanted to rely only on the airplane mode trick. And that was a mistake. But because I didn't want to miss documenting what was the main event in my point of view, which is the return of the parade back to the shrine, I had to record the very last segment with my iPhone 7 Plus. And you'll see that the image quality, both for videos and photo, is not the same at all. So here is my conclusion. If you use the Canon R8 for photography, by switching on the airplane mode, it is manageable to use only one battery for a session. But if, like me, you are a hybrid shooter, meaning that you shoot both videos and photos, even with the trick of switching on the airplane mode, one battery will not last long enough, unless you constantly switch the camera off whenever you're not using it. But my last and most valuable advice in this video will be to take advantage on Black Friday that is ongoing now to buy a spare camera. You can even find third-party makers that are much cheaper than the original battery. As for me, I'm gonna stick with the Canon quality. First of all, because I don't want to have any issues once I finally get a second battery. And second, because I live in Japan, and if I have any issues with a Canon product, I can quickly and easily reach them and get my problem fixed. So now you have it, guys. The Canon R8, in my point of view, is still a great camera, especially for the fact that it is a full frame at an affordable price. But unfortunately, that comes with some trade-offs. And one of it is the battery not lasting long enough. So thank you for those of you who share the airplane mode trick. From now on, it will always be switch on my camera. And thanks to all of you for being more and more to subscribe to the channel and watch the videos. That's it for me, and until next time, enjoy the ride and spread the love.